Howdy, everybody, it's SK again. So we're going to be doing something a little bit different today versus my other episodes here. So you're going to be noticing that there's not really any sound effects in the background. Well, that's because my attempt at doing the whole streaming recording from one TV to another, well, let's just say it had some technical difficulties. There is one extra episode after this that is just going to be straight up thrown into the bin. I unfortunately, through all my attempts to try and sound balance this, there was just no way that I could make this sound anywhere near decent. At the end of the day, it's kind of funny because future SK in one of the later episodes is talking about, well, I mean, I could put in the effort to change this, but I'm just too lazy. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm actually going to put in the effort because I just straight up do not feel comfortable releasing the video with this level of sound badness. The reason for that, which I will also say in a future episode, is that basically when I was streaming this information from one PC to another, it was compressing all of my sound files into just one track, whereas if I'm recording right now locally, I actually have it on multiple tracks. So if one thing gets screwed up, I can just re-record or make adjustments as is necessary. Unfortunately, when I was streaming it to another PC, apparently in my error, I actually had both of my, I had apparently two audio sources, which both led to the same microphone. And somehow, somewhere along the way, I don't even know if that's possible, but apparently somehow I managed it. And one of those sources had a gain filter that was like plus 12 or 13. I don't know what past SK was doing, but apparently she was experimenting with something that was unmuted, and it basically just ruined the sound for this episode and another episode that went after it. The other episode is getting trashed. There's not really much story. It is me pushing forward a little bit into Topaz territory. Spoiler alert, I'm going to be pushing into Topaz territory pretty soon. But there's not really anything major story-wise happening. But this one, because there is some story bits going on, I want to make sure that I at least have this visualized and at least kind of go over sort of what the hell I was trying to do. And besides, this is going to provide an interesting challenge both for myself and a post-processing standpoint to see if I can match up the audio sounds. I mean, not audio sounds, like sound effects and whatnot. That's definitely not happened. I ain't got that level of patience or skill. But at least match up the sounds in terms of the music and OST and all that kind of stuff in the background. And also provide an interesting challenge to see how well my commentary runs on something that I have already done. Now, I do have this playing in the background. I do technically hear the sound, but I have it turned down low enough so that way I'm not going to distract myself with my own speech. And this is almost like a weird kind of like salty runback. That's not really a salty runback. It's actually quite interesting because this is going to be an interesting foray into what the hell was past SK thinking. And honestly, I don't really know. So we're about to find out. So apparently I am fighting a unit of Fundaria that is actually trying to sort of intercept my group as it's heading towards one of the castles, which I actually find pretty impressive in terms of the AI, because generally speaking, in Shining Force, Jesus Christ. Look, I've been doing a lot of editing recently, okay? I typically don't really do editing. I typically try to, again, laziness factor, try to put everything to sort of one stream of consciousness take, so that way I don't really have to do much post-processing, because even with a 5900X and having a bunch of cores and 3070 and all that kind of stuff, rendering stuff is still kind of a bitch. It still takes pretty much bare minimum as long as the video is. So if I have a 50-minute long video and it takes exactly as long, and we're talking it's rendering at 60 frames a second while doing the render, which by the way is not super common unless you have, you know, a pretty still screen or what have you. You know, that's still going to take 50 minutes to render. Like, that means I gotta find something else to do because my brain does not like to keep idle for 50 minutes. So I typically don't try to do any sort of post-processing. That's one of the reasons why. It's just time constraints. But at the same time, you know, I find it interesting. There we go, that's what I was saying. I got distracted by saying Shining Force instead of Dragon Force. But something that didn't often happen in Dragon Force 1, at least in my playthroughs, is you didn't typically see units, you didn't really see the AI purposely send out armies to intercept you as you were attacking their castle. You know, they may be sending a unit out towards you and, you know, you may bring an army out to intercept them, but they the AI didn't typically seem to deliberately send units out to attack you if it knew it was going to lose. You know, the AI was programmed differently, and I like the fact that Dragon Force 2 has made that change to their AI. It does make it a lot more varied. I just, in retrospect, kind of wish that almost everything else about Dragon Forces 1 AI was kind of kept. You know, I wish that the troops actually felt more meaningful against the lieutenants. And yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. It's just right now the troops feel really depowered against the lieutenants because, you know, they have hit chances. I mean, they seem to be less like these Boolean values of they get hit once, they die sort of thing. They seem more like individual units, which does sound way more technically impressive, but it's also, in the end of the day, it may be more technically impressive, but it kind of doesn't feel quite as good to see this lieutenant just tank 100 mobs in the face and not even really care that much. Whereas in Dragon Force 1, you know, they may not be doing a whole lot of damage, but if you send 100 units of pretty much any kind towards your boss, you know, they may win, they may lose, but there's something impactful. You know, you can typically see impact, you know what I mean? You can see the units making contact, or if they're missing, you hear a sound effect that hears that they're being blocked or they're being deflected. You know, there was a lot, it felt more impactful, it felt more meaningful. Even if fundamentally it didn't make much of a difference, it felt more impactful. That kind of impact is unfortunately missing in the way that they've done this in Dragon Force 2. Now, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really been paying attention to the screen for very long, so I'm not 100% certain what's going on here, but I'm pretty sure I'm whooping this dude's ass, and I think I ended up causing the clock to run out because I'm pretty sure I'm performing cheese strats here, which sounds pretty much on brand for me because that's pretty much, at least for my playstyle, pretty much predominantly what mages and archers are for, especially in... Oh, that's right. I was like, oh yeah, I can go ahead and res. This is going to be awesome. Oh, wait. They changed it in Dragon Force 2, so that way you can't res beyond what you start with. So I basically just wasted 5 MP for no freaking reason. And I was like, you know what? Good job, programmers. Good job for closing that particular loophole. Well done for that, but also fuck you. So it's funny because I think there's a way in Dragon Force 2 where you can charm over 100 units. I think I've seen it before. I may be taking crazy pills, but I'm pretty sure that if you have the charm ability, which basically allows you to literally charm enemy units to attack for you, I'm pretty sure you have the ability to go above 100 units. From the way it seems programming-wise, they just can't allow more than 200 units in total. So if somehow it charms, you know, 8 or 10 or 15 units to fight for you, they have like 85 units and you have 115, and the game's like, whoa, wait, what? But hey, they're yours, so screw you. And I think I was using Hilda at this point to act as a kind of cheese strat extraordinaire to basically try and force them to either run away or get captured. Because again, I was taking 4 units to this castle, which I think already had 3 or 4 people to it. So I didn't really have a whole lot of people to... Oh, never mind. I ended up taking... I almost called him Wine. Some bitch. I ended up taking Avarus. Look, he looks like Wine, okay? He's 500 years descended from Wine's bloodline, which means they're probably like super Habsburg style, you know, incestuous stuff, which would honestly explain a lot. Though it would be kind of weird if it's talking about like incest Habsburg style, because I mean the whole point of Wine is that he ends up marrying someone who's not of his own species. So I don't know how that would necessarily work. I don't know about the politics scheme or the political scheme of how Legendra works, you know, post god relinquishment. I don't, like deicide or something. I don't even know what the hell you would call it. But look, I can only imagine he's probably a direct or very, very close indirect descendant of Avarus. You don't know what his last name is. Come to think of it, you don't know what Wine's last name is either. Do last names exist in this universe? Why am I getting worried about random things that have nothing to do? Why am I getting worried about, like, you know, Dragon Force's, like, naming culture and, you know, what is considered... Oh, hey, so I may have oopsied a little bit. It seems past SK kind of forgot that meleeing her units kind of makes them run all the way across the map like a bunch of donglehorns. Because, sure, that sounds about right. I used Aura Shot. Aura Shot hit real hard, though. Look at that. Boy got jacked up. Okay. Am I going to use another one? I am going to use another one. Is that going to take Giovanni out? Let's find out. And it's good. Okay, yeah, no, that actually does a fair bit of damage. You know, I will say that even though this game is more visually impressive in the strictest sense, like it makes better use of the Saturn's hardware. It tries to use a lot more 3D effects and stuff like that. Unfortunately, I'm of the opinion, having played this a few times now, that I think that may have almost kind of worked to its detriment because it's trying to utilize the 3D hardware. The 3D hardware has unfortunately aged very quickly because that's kind of what 3D hardware does at this point. It's there to just age like freaking milk, basically. So even though Dragon Force 2 does not utilize the Saturn's 3D capabilities to near the same level of degree, it almost kind of ages better because it's sticking largely to 2D, so it still looks more timeless. Whereas this, it's using the 3D hardware, and you can kind of see some of the cracks forming in the fact that it's fairly like proto 3D. It is obviously actual legit 3D, but there's an element to it that makes it, where the hell am I now? I'm legitimately semi-only paying attention to what's happening right now. This probably is not going to be a much better viewing experience than the one originally. I'm very sorry. And if for whatever reason anybody does want to watch the original viewing of this and all of its incredibly awful, muddled sounding audio glory, I can absolutely go ahead and upload it, but I'm probably going to leave it unlisted or something like that, so that way you guys can watch it if you want to, if anybody wants to. But just trust me when I say the audio is not great. Having a headset microphone turned up to about plus 13 gain is, well, you're hearing things that you shouldn't be hearing. Even with noise gate and noise suppression on, you could just hear in the background anytime that I was attempting to talk because the sensitivity was turned up so high. You know, I gotta say, I have really come around on Carl recently. You know, at first when I was playing this, the first few episodes, I'm kind of like, yeah, you know, Averis's lieutenants kind of suck. Like, they're not bad, but they're also not very great. I think the phrase I may have used was very white bread, where they're good, but they're also very sort of generic, and I'm just sort of like, okay, this nerdy-looking, Christopher Lloyd-looking dude with glasses and, you know, a guy that needs a haircut, like, big deal, big whoop. But now that I've gotten him a few levels, and he's gotten past the phase where he just does self-healing and now actually has a ranged DPS spell and has stupidly fast charge rate. Like, stupidly fast. He's now probably one of my strongest units. He is redonkulously. I mean, look at that. He just used that spell twice and he almost took out Kanchan. Now, granted, Kanchan is a caster. He's not, you know, melee DPS. He's not a beast man. But he is still, you know, he basically would have 3-shot him with largely just flame shot alone. And that is very, very potent. Like, he ends up, you know, semi-spoiler alert, Carl ends up being one of my stronger units a few episodes down the line. He gets very dangerous very quickly. Which, now that I think about it, I kind of remember from previous playthroughs that Carl ended up being kind of terrifying because he had self-healing and had that ability to just shotgun out. Wait, shotgun is probably not the right word because that means, you know, powerful but short range. He was able to basically machine gun out a whole bunch of ranged DPS that you really can't mitigate unless you have healing or really high HP. So he ended up being very dangerous in previous playthroughs, if I recall correctly, and I may not be. Also, note to say, Nolt is amazing. He is one of the coolest characters in the game. I love the fact that his character exists. He is, by all accounts, dumber than a brick, despite the fact that he's a robot, and he should be a highly sophisticated piece of hardware/software. But, you know what? The fact that he has a thief power-up is also kind of hilarious. Oh, so it looks like, okay, if I'm remembering this correctly, and I may not be, I think this is the point where maybe... Did they send out another army to intercept? He may have sent out another army to intercept. Okay. So, again, this is something I can appreciate about I almost said Shining Force again. Damn it. Oh, brain power. Why do you fail me so much? But again, I can really appreciate that about Dragon Force 2's overworld AI, is that the AI can actually be more aggressive and actually uses some tactics such as running interference, trying to delay your people with the intention that the AI knows it's going to lose, but it's trying to drain your troop resources so that way it can retreat, re-up its reinforcements, and then try literally to just try and weaken the army as it's advancing. That's actually really cool, and I can really appreciate that. So I think I'm going to duel this man, and I may kick his ass. I would be very surprised if Nolt fails me here, because he can probably, like, 3-shot him. Okay, definitely not 3-shot him, but he missed, and that makes me sad. Oh, Stefano missed. Nope, okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's a good job, Nolt. Toria! I love... Okay, that was way closer than it had any right to be. I'm going to be honest with you. Because Nolt has something like... Squeeze me. Had to mute the microphone there for just a second. Nolt has something like 20 or 30 HP on this guy, and I'm pretty sure he has another like 10 or 15 attack on him. So that was way closer than it needed to be, but unfortunately or fortunately, RNGesus was still in my favor. Wait, I already took the castle, but Homeboy was still... Buh? Oh, maybe he retreated and he was just kind of left in the wake, maybe, or something like that. Why is my dude walking up there? What am I doing? Oh, okay, I get it. That's not my dude. That's right. I'm not Fondaria this time around. So he retreated, and now he's coming back to fight. Okay, I see what's going on now. So I did take... What castle is... Oh my god, the castle name's on the right-hand side. I never noticed that until just now. I feel dumb. And I would absolutely deserve to feel dumb. 100%. Okay, so what am I doing here? Who am I deploying, and why am I deploying them? I'm moving him... I'm moving just him. But with all this turmoil, I sure wish the 8 warriors of the Star Dragon were around. The 8 warriors? Are you referring to the Dragon Force? The very same. They were just called the 8 warriors back then. Back then, baby. They all disappeared shortly after the war against Madrick. Theories abound. Some say they were incarnations of the gods who later vanished, or that they didn't survive the war. Regardless, countless shrines have been erected in their honor. Soldiers and knights would frequent them as if on pilgrimage to improve their skills. Time passed. When chaos returned to the land, battalions bearing the mark of the 8 warriors arose. There was a Spirit of Wine, for example. One of my ancestors raised that very battalion. Really? So the legend of the 8 warriors became a heroic epic, you see. Thus their story survives to this day. With people worshipping other people, the age of the gods ended, and so began the age of man. Huh. Okay, there's lore. See, I like stuff like this. I like lore being added like that. Is that right? Yeah, that's pretty much my response to that as well. That's actually... I like that. I'm semi-hearing myself say the same thing. Past SK say the same thing, and it's kind of weirded me out a little bit. Quit that. Quit it, May. Stop being predictable. But no, I like the fact that there's lore and stuff like that. I really dig bits and pieces like that, where you can see little greater bits of hidden story that's not being expressly talked about. Aw, poor Giovanni. Aw, who's gonna give... Oh, okay, I'm giving the kill to Matteo, huh? Oh, you were in the Rebel Army, if memory serves. All right, let's settle the score. See, again, stuff like that. Stuff like that is super cool. I love little tidbits of backstory. It kind of makes me want to learn more about the characters, even if I don't know what the frig's going on. It's pretty cool. I love that kind of shit. I love that shit. Also, Giovanni is dead AF, but it's okay, I guess. I mean, there's no way he can retreat, right? I don't think... He literally cannot retreat. There's nowhere he can retreat to. There are no armies left. Oh, what? Why, how could he retreat, though? He has nowhere to retreat to. Wait, no, I mean, I guess... I'm going by Dragon Force 1 metrics, and Dragon Force 1, if they belong to an enemy faction... They wouldn't, there was nowhere to retreat to, the AI just didn't retreat. Now, if you're talking about, like, quote-unquote, the free nations, like the free factions that weren't for the 8 units, or what have... Oh, never mind, there's a castle, never mind, okay. So maybe that still holds true, I have no idea. I didn't realize I hadn't progressed that far yet. Okay, so here comes story time. Attack me if you dare, but I should warn you, I'm a demon on the battlefield. Humor, you'd best be ready. Alright, so it's only those 2 yes. Oh yeah, I got Ryu. I like the fact that his name is Ryu, though, and he has monks. That's pretty cool. So obviously can't use Nolt. Nolt's completely done. And I can tell that it keeps switching back to him. I'm thinking about it, even though I'm dumb for doing it. I'm still thinking about it for some dumbass reason. I'm gonna bring in Corday, seems like. She seems like a pretty good shoe-in. I think something that she has is good with monks. I just noticed that. I've already forgotten what those things are. Okay, I'm going to be honest for half a second. Even though I know this is a recording, that hung just long enough that I was kind of afraid that the game had frozen without me realizing it, and I was going to have to do more post-processing. Thank God that it didn't. Oh, are mages good against monks, or is it soldiers good against monks? So who's good? Well, somebody's good against something, for sure. I remember seeing the happy yellow circle, which is not the phrase I'd ever think I would use for any reason. But it seems to be that, how is this going to work out? See, and this is what I mean, where you can see the impact, you can see them getting hit. They obviously have HP values now, but just something about them not immediately dying, it being like that non-Boolean value where they can take multiple hits, it doesn't, at least from my personal opinion, so let me bear that in mind. In my personal opinion, it doesn't feel quite as impactful because it doesn't feel like you're seeing an immediate impact. They're getting hit, they keep going, and then they get hit again, and then they may or may not die. But it just unfortunately doesn't feel quite as impactful as the first game does. And it's unfortunate because I think, generally speaking, I think I may like the art style a little bit more. They're very different. You know, they're completely different. Uh-oh, what are you gonna do? Aww. Wait, what is that? Is that like poison ivy in the corner? Because I'm going to be honest, the little like vine trap thing, I always just figured that was like John Carpenter's thing or something. I didn't realize that it was, you know, some sort of like green goddess looking thing. Like straight up, she looks like poison ivy. Which, I don't know if that's actually goes directly under copyright infringement. I don't know. But it's close enough that if I was WB, I'd be like, I wonder where they got that idea from. I mean, granted, green creature, red hair, like that can be almost literally anything. But still, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh, okay, that's the same thing. Okay. So, I will say, really cool looking visual though. That's really cool looking though. And again, I do like their art style. However, I will say that some of the, like I said, I think the way I feel about the battles, oh, they were just running off in no corner. Okay, that's fair. I mean, I didn't tell them to stop advancing, so I guess that stands to reason. Like, there's an invisible wall, boss. What are we gonna do? I don't know, man. Just keep running. But I think my biggest issue with the battle scenes right here is just that the enemy, or not the enemy, but the units themselves, just for some reason, like I said, due to their HP value, or the fact that they may actually have an HP value, they don't feel quite as impactful. And because all of them can take those 2 or 3 hits in a row before they die, depending upon how strong or weak they are versus everything else, it makes the truly strong units, like the high ogres or the really like top tier things that are almost impossible to kill, it also makes them feel a little bit less dangerous because they almost unilaterally take 2 or 3 hits to kill. If high ogres or like those 2 or 3 really top tier, like super powerful, you can only get them super late endgame, if they had been the only units that take 2 or 3 hits, then they really feel OP, and you're just like, holy shit. Wow, okay, that's not happening. But, you know, like, I think it's just about visual presentation. You know, in Dragon Force 1, if you were fighting something that had a really low comp rate, you know, if it really wasn't, if they didn't really, you know, if you were playing, you know, archers against pretty much anything because archers suck, you know, they would either miss a lot or you would hear the tink, tweak, chink. You know, you would hear the sound effect of it. Oh, that's pretty cool. I still think I like the Dragon Force 1 better, though. Again, they're utilizing the 3D effect more, but I think that also may be to its detriment, unfortunately. But I think that if instead of if them taking 2 hits and then dying came into effect, you would hear the sound effect of them deflecting or blocking a shot. So before and they would maybe hit that like 3 or 4 times before actually hitting the mob. It could effectively be the exact same programming where it has to take 2, 3, 4 hits before the game says, okay, now this thing is dead. But the way it's presented as to not even taking a hit but deflecting the hit or blocking the hit makes it feel like it's somehow more impactful than him taking a hit and then nothing happening, so to speak. Also, Bartz is a beast. Bear in mind, I sent like 100 units his way. You just saw that swarm of blue surround him and he just wrecked their face. This is another, you know, what I was saying before, in which, you know, the units, I mean, they actually did quite a bit of damage to him. They did a lot of damage to him. They almost took him out. But because the sound effect was a little bit different. Oh, okay, sure, I'm taking Albrecht. Okay, all right. Albrecht's going. You know, I really think I've been sleeping on Albrecht. I think I've really been sleeping on Albrecht a little bit in my playthrough so far, because he actually seems pretty strong. But you know, the next few episodes, I don't really use him that much, and can't remember if that's just because I kind of have him in this way off castle, or if it's just because he has soldiers when everyone else has things that are a little bit more exotic and have maybe more better strengths and, you know, unfortunately better, you know, bigger weaknesses, etc., etc. But I really think in my next episode that I record after this. And to be honest, I don't really know how long it's going to be before that episode happens, because unfortunately, I had bad family news. My father passed away a couple of days ago, so I'm taking a little bit of time away from all of this. This is quite literally just because I've been meaning to do this for a few days, and damn it, I'm getting this done, because I'm tired of clicking on this and being like, oh, which one is? I'm like, oh my god, I need to make this go away. So, oh wow, okay. So, that definitely felt impactful. Yes, unfortunately, that is your fate, my dude. I am very sorry. But all things being equal, considering that I took these last two castles out in about 26 minutes, I yield. You've proven your mettle. Avis, let's discuss this back at the castle. Yes, let us indeed discuss this back at the castle. But considering I took both of these guys out in the span of about 25 minutes, it's pretty impressive. And by the way, feel free to let me know, guys, if this format is okay. Like, this is incredibly atypical. This is not something I typically do. But again, it was either release what I had with whatever, you know, balancing I could do, which still, unfortunately, by my estimate, just sounded terrible, or I just scrap the episodes and have to make some sort of, you know, record some kind of intro in the next episode, being like, by the way, I took out Bart's, and yeah, some stuff happened, surprise, it sounds terrible, I'm very sorry, which still doesn't make me feel very good. So for once, I'm gonna go the full Monty high effort version, in which I'm going to re-record the audio for this and try to replace the audio to the best of my ability in such a way that I can try to make this. Oh yeah, Bandars, that's right. Oh, Bandars. I keep wanting to call him Bandai Namco, and I don't know why. I really wish my brain was not like this sometimes. I really do. And other times I'm just like, you know what? It's cheap entertainment. It's gonna be what it's gonna be at this point. You just kind of shrug and deal with it. Okay, so Bilra's being searched. Rosso, Cuba, got a robot crest. Ooh, is that where? Wait, where did I get? Oh, robot crest, mage crest, magic tome. Okay. Castle fortifications complete. Wonderful. Okay. Okay, so let's see how story stuff goes here. King Avarice, may I present Lord Bartz. I'm sorry that the Japanese voice acting isn't going to be back here, but I was going to talk over it anyway, let's be real. It appears that I stand defeated. And yet, you don't seem greatly concerned about it. Highland doesn't strike me as a corrupt nation, and I sense no ill will from you, King Avarice. Really? So, the fact that I conquered your kingdom does not anger you? A country is just a vessel for its people. I only care that those people live peacefully. You know what? I can respect that. He's like, look, I took this dude out over here because he was a royal asshole. He was killing innocent people. I was purely rocking him just to get him out of here. What you do, don't fucking care. My advisor tells me you seized the throne with noble intentions. Yeah, pretty much. He's just like, screw this asshole, he needs to die. I'm no power-hungry warlord. I did what I had to do with an awful tyrant. That's all. He's like, look. Exactly. He's just like, look, I just wanted the dude gone. I felt I had no choice but to take him down. Can't you see the burden I bear, King Avarice? Yeah, right. He's like, look, I don't want to lead these people. I just wanted that asshole gone. You want to do it, and you're going to be decent to my people? Go nuts. You tell me where to go, and I'll be there. Just don't be a dick, or I'll kill you too. But if you're not going to be a dick, you're going to be decent with people, then by all means, have a blast. I was very young when I lost my mother. I blame myself for her death. That's just like random, like, surprise. Let's trauma bond time. That's not what trauma bonding is, by the way. Your mother. Yes, I've lost many people who showed me compassion. So many good people. Meanwhile, he's over here having, like, a flashback. And let's fight to protect those we have left. Right, Lord Bartz? Avarice, ... I, too, lost my mother as a child, but my wonderful sisters have brought me such happiness. Yeah, about that. Let's not bring the Habsburgs into it, shall we? As Mother often said, the path to happiness winds its way through the hearts of those who love you. Yeah. That... For some reason, that sounds like a euphemism for something, but I'm not sure what. Our avarice is growing up so fast. Ellipsis. King Avarice speaks widely, Lord Bartz. Please lend him your forces. Lord Bartz was literally just like, look, you don't seem like an asshole. You want to run this show, go for it. Please, Lord Bartz, I don't think you have to implore him. I'm going to be honest with you. Well, you guys can finish talking it out. I'm going to grab a snack and take a nap. I like the way this woman thinks. Hilda. Well, it feels like we're just going around in circles. That's because we are. I see your court is full of grace and wisdom, King Avarice. Yeah, okay. Very well, you have my help. You literally were just like, hey, go nuts. Like, do your thing. I'm not an asshole. Lord Bartz. I do have another question for you, Lord Bartz. Okay. Like what? Do you know anything about an extraordinary fox? You know, just randomly. You're asking me about a fox. Yes, I am. I've heard that there's a fox in Fondaria that can speak like a man. Oh, you mean Frest. But he's in Topaz now. Okie dokie, you know where he is. Frest? Yes, he works with Master Shan of Topaz. They say he makes a good strategist. A talking fox. Okie dokie then. Is there anything that fox can't do? Oh my god, that sounds like some kind of fucking infomercial. Like, I'm just seeing a 90s infomercial replaced by Mr. Clean that it's like, is there anything that fox can't do? It's just a black and white person of just, like, a black and white still of somebody trying to scrub a tile. And it's just, you know, a sponge with a fox's face on it. Is there anything that fox can't do? And now I'm seeing Mr. Clean with, like, a freaking fox mask on it, and now I'm horrifying myself a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Thank you, brain. A talking fox who advises a king. It's strange, but true. At least you speak plainly. We should go to Topaz. If we can meet this Frest, we might learn more. So, also, I mean, past me is making some sense here. Why are we just sending a letter to these fools? We have diplomats. We can have people that's like, surprise, bitch, please just, you know, talk to people. You know, just send people. We don't have to march an entire army up their shit. We can just send somebody their way. Just saying. So either way, as all of this goes through, I do appreciate you guys sticking through this. I appreciate that, you know, I apologize, that is to say, that things are a little bit so much different this way, a little bit so much, sure, that things are so much different this episode versus previous episodes. You know, but I hope you can stick with it. I appreciate it. The next episodes will be correct the way they're supposed to be. But, you know, if y'all like what you saw previously and in the future, not necessarily for this one, feel free to leave a like. If you want to see more, feel free to subscribe, ring the notification bell, feel free to give comments and all that good stuff, good, bad, or otherwise. I enjoy reading them. They give me life, even if I may not necessarily respond, because life is life, and yay, and stuff, and things and whatnot. And I will see y'all next time. Peace out. God, I hope this records correctly, because I'm not fucking doing it again.